If you know about Montreal, you've probably heard about a few things. It's known for its European architecture and cobblestone streets. It's the origin of the world-famous Cirque du Soleil. And it's home to the best poutine in the world. But it's also known for its nightlife.
Now, wait a minute. Now, are strippers paid hourly here? Is that right? It's not a tip system?
It's considered an art, a performance art.
It's considered a performance art.
And esports fans associate Montreal with one thing: controversy. Montreal is the only Canadian city where DreamHack runs tournaments, and one particular tournament was the beginning of the end for Immortals' former CSGO roster. DreamHack Montreal 2017 was a pretty unimportant tournament despite its $100,000 prize pool. It was just too soon after the Krakow Major to draw any notable teams. Krakow was the first major that Immortals qualified for, after a string of failures.
He's gonna try and get up and go for the trade. Off the ladder quickly, pre-fires into it, that's gonna do it. Flipside's gonna qualify, and Tempo Storm will fall into. Just play this smart Flipside, it should be yours. The smoke is down. It's gonna draw out one player, he's landed it, but Blade from upper is gonna secure Flipside for a bit longer. Immortals bite the dust. If he picks that 1 versus 2, they pinch in, but now the side is against them, and that's how it ends. G2, on a lovely shot from Body, will find their way to the major.
They perpetually played a little brother to their Brazilian countrymen in Luminosity Gaming and later SK Gaming, partially because of their age, but also because of their worse results. At Krakow, their inexperience showed in the groups, but they were in their element come playoffs. They fed off the energy of the crowd and achieved a breakthrough performance.
And it's Immortals that might be the ones to take them down. Keeve does at least spot up one more. We take the shots right away. Bolt pops out. And we've got 5 Brazilians in this tournament. It's not SK, it's Immortals. No peek. Henny to control it. Taz goes to the smoke. Taz goes to the smoke. He won't find it. It's done. Immortals from a minor to a major final. An instant kill on the shotgun crossfire set. He's found. Steel trades it. Steel goes for more. It's done.
Well, commiserations to the Brazilians. They've looked fantastic throughout their first ever major. They've made it to the grand final in 3 maps as well. It wasn't quite enough, but here they come.
After that event, they were no longer the team that failed to make the majors again and again. They were no longer SK's little brothers. They were a team that demanded respect. In the off-season, multiple reports came out that Immortals were going through some internal issues and might face roster changes. Immortals' roster remained unchanged, but they headed into their first event post-Krakow, DreamHack Masters Malmo, with a cloud hanging over their heads. They had a decent showing in Malmo and advanced to the playoffs over Fnatic, but fell to North after a tight quarterfinal.
Steel gets dropped and Henny goes for the peak, but oh, there it is!
It was a disappointing finish for the major grand finalists, but some fans brushed it off as growing pains for a young roster. But there were plenty of questions for Immortals heading into DreamHack Montreal. Aside from North, Montreal featured a lower tier of competition than the major. A majority of the teams were from the Americas, so expectations were high for Immortals. And they didn't disappoint.
Luminosity with 30 seconds will get caught out. Bolts gets the first, looking for the second, and there you have it, Immortals. The big brother will prevail today.
Finesse, though, needs to go to the site and plant since time is low, and Henny realizes that he knows he's around here somewhere. But oh, Henny actually thought he went away, but turns around at the last second. Plant will go down. Finesse not in the open, but Henny, he's just ready to take this battle. Steps back, though, taking it, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Immortals that take control of our first semifinal here.
Immortals earned a spot in the grand finals against North, the team that eliminated them from Malmo just a week prior. So Immortals went into the series with a chip on their shoulders. Well, 2 of them did. Bolts and Steel showed up on time, but the rest of the team didn't.
But what we are waiting on is the Immortals, who are, well, they're not quite seated just yet, but any moment, hopefully, it will be an Immortals freshened up and sitting down after that performance earlier that landed them here.
In fact, they took so long to arrive at the venue that Immortals were handed a default map loss.
Well, guess what, guys? I have an Easter egg for you, and it is that we will not be seeing the first map of Mirage. It does look like the Immortals have forfeited it due to being late to the stage and to playing, and that's just the way the cookie crumbled, I suppose. I don't really know what else to say about that other than the process needs to be respected, and rules by tournament organizers need to be respected, and the right thing is certainly, I believe, right here.
With the Brazilian side already down a map, team morale was undoubtedly low. and the rest of the series went about the way you'd expect.
Yeah, well, if North went to win before, they sure are now.
It's over.
Easy up close will be tested, and he sprays for 3. Lucas with a trade, though, and Immortals with an entry chance. Config will shut it all down, though, getting behind him. The chance gone.
Sometime during the series, then CLG coach Steve Ryu Redicasa tweeted that the team had been late for their series earlier that day, and that he had heard that some of the players had been out the night before partying. 15 minutes after that, CLG player FNS tweeted that he was disappointed to have been eliminated by hungover players. It didn't take long for the Immortals players to notice. FNS and Lucas 1 had a back and forth that ended relatively peacefully. But KNG's response was less reserved. And it didn't end there. According to FNS, he was told to leave the hotel he was staying at because KNG was going through the halls looking for him.
I was in my hotel room, whatever, we're just fucking chilling. And then I'm like, oh, I'm hungry as shit, let's go to Moxie's or something. And I go downstairs, and a person that I'm not going to name walks up to me and says, hey man, like, you really just like, you gotta go. You gotta go. You really just gotta. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, dude, like, you tweeted this, and I understand that it was a joke, but Kanji, like, is not happy with you right now, and he's looking for you. And I'm like, I don't know what to say to that.
Can we just pause for a second and talk about how insane this is? Here's FNS, a guy from Canada who makes a living playing video games. What more could you ask for? He just lost a set and was feeling cheeky, so he spat out a tweet that was edgy and self-deprecating, and as he was getting ready to head out, someone stopped him and told him he had to leave the hotel because there was somebody stalking the halls looking for him. This was no longer just a joke for FNS.
All the information I got is I need to leave, this guy's temper is out of control, I gotta go. And I'm like, so in my head I'm thinking like, why is he looking for me? Because the way people have confronted me usually is just like, they message me or they come up to me and say, hey, like, what you did was messed up.
It's understandable for things to get heated in a competitive space. And it's easy to brush things like this off, especially when the medium is as distant and impotent as a tweet. But a death threat, no matter where it comes from, should never be taken lightly.
I've been thinking about killing you in real life lately. That's not nice, homie. Jesus. All I do is play video games, man. Actually, I'm gonna report that guy to the police. I'm also gonna report this to Twitch to get his info.
I honestly don't even
I love you, calm down, bro. I was kidding. Chat was boring, had to get it lit. I've donated 1K to check your PayPal donations. Damn, I feel bad now. What the fuck, dude? That's not something you joke about, man. And I only saw one donation from you, and it was that one. Don't threaten someone's life, bro. Like, joke or not. That's ridiculous.
Despite all the commotion and hearsay, no one ever actually provided proof that KNG was stalking the halls looking for FNS. But it kind of didn't matter. If you put aside everything that was he said, she said, and regardless of whether the source is trustworthy or reputable, the facts remain. Immortals were late for a grand finals, something unheard of in top-tier competition, eSports or otherwise, and KNG went on to make a very public death threat on Twitter. All eyes were on those moments. There was nothing to prove. So, things were bad. Should Immortals have been late for their match? No. Should FNS have made that joke? Probably not. Should KNG have made those death threats? Absolutely not. But the aftermath had an even more lasting effect. Several of the Immortals players apologized for the lackluster grand finals, regardless of how it happened, including KNG. But 2 months after the incident, there still wasn't any closure between FNS and KNG.
No, there's not been any contact with KNG as far as any of that stuff. I'm pretty sure he still hates me, but as far as everybody else, I think I'm chill with on the team. When it happened, I was ready to talk to him, but he was kind of upset, obviously, and so he didn't want to have any conversation with me, or rather his coach told me just not to bother. But yeah, I did try at first, but now it's kind of water under the bridge.
And even if he did apologize, it would do little to erase his threat from the public record. Thanks in part to the CSGO community, who immediately turned it into a meme.
We should not push Kenji, he seems to be sober. Let's do pistol armor.
But the death threat itself had a lasting negative impact on KNG's career.
But he also needs to chill. He's applying for a visa right now. If they Google his name,
if they look at any of the stuff, it's not good for him. You know what I mean? Like, he should be in damage control mode.
KNG was put on the chopping block, but his 4 teammates and coach convinced Immortals CEO Noah Winston to let him stay. But then he violated his internal suspension, and his contract was immediately terminated.
And it's not a part of Immortals and will never again be a part of Immortals.
Noah ran the risk of pissing off his players for the sake of principle, and that's exactly what happened. The Tellus twins quickly requested a transfer once they heard the news that KNG was gone. But it was a decision that was almost universally praised by the esports community.
Ultimately, though, I don't want this to be the conclusion of this sordid saga. I was not left with many options if we wanted to preserve the philosophies and the ideals that Immortals as a brand stands for. Though it is unfortunate that Valve rules mean that the 3 players no longer with us have control over our major slot. Playing in a major is not worth more than everything that we stand for as an organization.
Later, the ex-Immortals trio and the major spot that they held were bought by 100 Thieves.
We're permanently moving into the CSGO community, and we are teaming up with KNG, Lucas, Henny, FNX, and Bit.
However, 100 Thieves players, perhaps unsurprisingly, couldn't secure visas in time and weren't able to attend the major. The team never played a single match.
Maybe it's karma, maybe it's justice for them that the 100 Thieves guys didn't make it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of conflicted. Like, I kind of feel like, you know, good, serves you right. But at the same time, you know, you don't want to see that happen to a team that's trying to make a living and get to a majors.
It's hard to say exactly how much of a part Montreal played in KNG's downfall, but it's obvious that Montreal is where that downfall began. A handful of tweets, 4 months, and however many alleged encounters behind the scenes were all it took to destroy the career of a truly promising player.
Thanks for watching. If you want more great content just like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button.